It's a lot of green, but I'm loving it. I've been having some fun. I'm certainly going to find that out very shortly. I think it's a little bit of a nightmare. We are so very, very close. So, I have removed the old Kickstart gear set, guys. This is my new kit. You can see here the two teeth really damaged, whereas this new one, nice and sharp. So hopefully no more slipping of the Kickstart. It also comes with this new pinion gear. You can see how definitive those edges are, whereas with this one you can see clearly they're rounded, which I think allows it to slip a little when it goes to engage to turn the engine. So the install of the Kickstart gear set, I start just by giving it a little bit of copper grease, just to stop if there's any ingress of water. A little bit on the shaft of the gear also. Then the install of the spring, this only goes one way. You just want to hook it over, pop it into place all the way, just like that. And then locate the spring just like that. So hold this in place, reinstall the little washer and a new circlip, and this just fits within a little groove within the shaft of the gear. And as you can see, operates lovely. So now the install of the new pinion gear. Once again, just a little bit of copper slip, and this simply pushes into place. And this is held in with a retaining clip, which is provided within the kit. So let's get this on the engine. This case is held on with about 9 bolts. As you can see here, I have the new gasket from Honda. And surprisingly, this actually originally didn't come with a gasket when I removed it. But it goes on quite simply. I secure those bolts into place, and there is the clutch cover on. Okay then guys, so all of the panels, minus the rear side panels, because as I mentioned previously, I'm yet to properly fit the wing and get all the fixings in place just to secure it. Because once I know all the holes are drilled that it needs to be done, I can then paint it, and it can just then go straight on without having to mark it, drill it, and possibly ruin the paintwork. But with that, everything that I can currently fit, and I'm really wanting to get this front end all built up, is done. So let me show you the outcome and the bits that we have to fit. So, as you would have seen plenty of times, we got the front panel all done. We have the long nose, sort of handlebar cowl, I suppose, the front part of it, in the green, which together, it's a lot of green, but I'm loving it. We have the clock surround. That's come out really nice. I've already fitted the lock. Very, very simple. It's just this little fork here. You slide it out. I have removed the masking tape because I wanted to retain this sticker, which I'm really happy about. It's perfect. Well, to me, it looks like it wasn't even masked up. That's gone on really well. So I have painted the inside of this. I wanted it to be the best job that I could possibly achieve. And I was so lucky because this was the last panel to do and I was running out of the spray paint and the nozzles. To be fair, they just clogged up so easily. I was really worried that I was going to have to order one more can, but I didn't. It's done. So I need to fit this to this panel. This took quite a bit of work, to be fair. It's not perfect. There are a couple of little scuffs and bits and pieces which I missed out on. This was the side which the scooter looked like it was dropped. But I think once it's on, you're not going to really notice it. Once again, painted the inside. You'll probably never see this, but I just wanted to go to the best extent possible, and I'm glad I did. It's gone on really well. So what I'll do now is I will fit this back onto this, hopefully without scratching the paintwork, and let's get it built. I think this bit needs to go on first, which will allow me to fit the plug, as well as, I think there was just here, there's a relay, so I can fit that. Once all that is fitted, I can then go ahead and fit this front cover. And from then on, I think it's a little bit fiddly. I've seen from one of Benny's videos that it can be quite fiddly to get the headlight in, but also to tuck all this loom in nice and neatly. So I'm certainly going to find that out very shortly. But it needs to be done, and once it's done, it's going to look so smart. So let's crack on. A little bit of work to be done with regards of wiring in the new Speedo, which is in kilometers, because it has the chime, and I think also there's a little bit of wiring to do with regards of the indicators, but I'm yet to have a look at that. But at the moment, all I'm interested in is getting the front panel on, so let's get on and do it. Okay, so that went on easier than expected. Let's get this onto the frame. An update. So, as you would have seen, the rear panel is now in place, and that is now nice and secure. I've just fitted the foot plate also. Got 4 brand new yellow zinc plated bolts and washers holding that in place, so that's lovely. Around the front, the wiring, I've just placed roughly where they need to go, and it's normally up in between these 2 brackets for the headlight, so they're nice and secure. This little bracket you can see just here, which turns with the headset, that secures the rear brake cable and also the speedometer cable. And speaking of that, I've been having some fun. So this is the JDM clocks which I really wanted to fit, and I was getting a little bit lost with what wiring I need to do because it needed to be modified. And luckily I spoke to Benny, who has fitted one, and he messaged back and said, well, actually my fuel gauge doesn't actually work, so he needs to make a little bit of an adjustment to the wiring and work out what needs to go where. So because I'm not that clued up on electrics, what I've decided to do is use the JDM clocks and modify my original UK spec clocks, and that is what I've done. So what's nice is that the dial surround comes out really easy, so I can use this JDM dial surround with the JDM writing, the Japanese writing for high beam, and this also has the arrows instead of saying turn like the UK spec. I have just pinched the little blue lens and I've glued it in place because the UK spec comes with that, because what I didn't realise is JDM clocks have an LED, whereas the UK spec you won't be able to see it that clearly, but it's just like a standard little bulb. You can also see that I've put the kilometers an hour dial in because I want to keep it JDM. This is the UK spec one, the original one. Really good condition. But yeah, I want to keep it as JDM as possible. So yeah, I've got the dial, kilometers an hour. This surround will fit in there lovely. And also I wanted to retain the tick-tock for the indicators, but the UK spec clocks, or these clocks certainly anyway, finished just here. They didn't have this little dome which retains it. So all I did was cut it off the JDM clocks, which is a shame because this is a very clean set of clocks. But yeah, I cut it off, fold it down, and it's currently gluing in place. So that will work lovely. And what's nice as well, this was an option. You can see an orange and blue wire there. These clocks always had the orange and blue wire with the connector. So it's literally plug and play, which is always nice. So yeah, letting this set, I'll install this, plug it in. I will fit the needles, which, almost forgot, I am repainting. So these have become really faded, I assume because of the sun. And I just had some orange paint, and surprisingly extremely luminous, as you can see. So I'm just painting these up, so these will also, when they get reinstalled, will look very clean. So yeah, install those. I can then refit this around. I've cleaned up this lens as best I can. This is the one that came off the JDM clocks. A couple of little scratches you can see, but much better condition than the original lens. So yeah, we'll have a UK spec / JDM looking set of Speedos. The speedometer is all rebuilt. Really chuffed with how the needles come out. Really bright. So that's made a big improvement. What I just said regarding these wires, that they just simply click into these, I am actually incorrect. Looking back at some photos I took before I stripped it, these two, this blue and orange, are actually for the indicators. I completely forgot that I have to wire these in. So I looked at the newer clocks that came with the tick-tock chime, and then realised that it has the twin fitting. So what I've done is I've cut this off the newer clocks so it has the correct plugs. And what I'm going to do, or what I've started to do, is strip back the cabling to reveal the single bullet connectors and the bulb. And I've stripped it back far enough to where it joins into one. So all I'm going to do is cut this off here and solder in this off the newer clocks. So then what I can do is plug in the tick-tock chime and the indicator units, and I imagine that should work. So that's what I'm going to do. There you go. So I actually found these little two-way crimp fittings, which was a lot easier than trying to solder it in place. So I'll put a little bit of insulation tape over here, feed it back up through the loom, and then I have fittings for the chime and the indicators. There you go, all wired in. So all we have left is one orange, one blue, and one green. And these are for these three, which are the indicator units, which I'll fit to the headlight cowl. Hopefully it's easy enough to get on. I think it's a little bit of a nightmare trying to get to the bolts to secure the headlight, but I'm sure I've got enough room just to come through here and I can tighten them up. These ones here, there's one either side, just to stop it from tilting. But yeah, that's the scary bit done for me, because as I said, wiring is not my forte, but luckily I took lots and lots of pictures, and because I'm using the original clocks, there's less wires to account for. It was just this modification here because I've added the chime, I would imagine that's going to work perfectly. I can't see why it wouldn't. So yeah, hopefully now it will be relatively successful and I can apply this and the clock surround, which then means I can get the front panel on, and that is all of the front end done. And there you go, guys, all done. I'm so happy with the outcome of the green. It looks incredible. Now, as some of you will be aware, if you have done this previously, trying to get all the wires in and nice and neat and plug them in, etc., is a little bit fiddly. But surprisingly, this wasn't as bad as I thought. Now, what I did is I lightly placed this rear panel on first. I didn't secure it with its bolt, which is just there, but I put it in place. I then managed to feed the long nose on, but I removed these indicator units, and it just gave me that little bit more room. The headlight's now all in. I found a screw to secure it underneath, and a new bolt there to hold it in place. And I've just lightly placed the front panel on. And it's starting to actually look like a scooter once again. So I've got some new screws, which I bought here. I'm going to secure this front panel on. And you've got there's plenty of holes here for the screws. And then what I think I might do is mask up the front panel so I don't scratch the paintwork. And I'm going to try the belly pan and see if I can get that marked up before that's painted. But we're starting to get a scooter, guys. So happy, and these clocks stand out so well. I might even connect the battery and see and check to make sure that everything works. Right, so I've got the key. Let's just have a look and see if it works. Okay, so oil light is on. That's a good thing because I have literally no oil. Neither do I have any fuel. So I'm not looking to start the bike yet. I'm just checking to see if the electrics work. Horn. Yeah, awesome. And let's see, please, let's see if the TikTok chime works. Yes! Okay, awesome. Right. Will it work on the other side? We have a full set. Awesome. I'm so chuffed. Now, as far as I'm aware, the light works when the engine is running. So that's one thing I cannot check at the moment. But I'm confident that it works. There's no reason why it shouldn't. So, amazing. So like I said, what I'm going to do now is I'll probably refit the rear panels again, mock up the wing, drill the holes so I know that it's going to be secured. I can then paint the rear panels and the wing, and then test fit the belly pan, as I mentioned, try and work out a way to secure it at the front and at the back, because I don't really want to use multiple fastenings along here, because I know that's what some people do. I think an option, as far as I'm aware, is we screw it into here. So that is probably the option I will take. And then I have seen, I can't remember whose scooter it was. It may have been Benny's, not quite sure. But they made like a little aluminium bracket and they just screwed it straight into the frame, and then they attached it to the belly pan. So it sits at the front, and then it saves you having to use all these fixings along the edge. So that's something I'm going to have to fabricate. But I'm so happy. We have a working TikTok chime. So chuffed. Easy enough, guys, but that's all the screws fitted. So the panel went on really nice. And it's actually so good to see no signs of any damage, because this was the side that had all the scuffs. I'll see if I can post a picture again just to remind you guys, but it was in a bit of a state. I mean, to be fair, the whole scooter was, it lived 38 years. So yeah, it's good to see it so clean. One thing I was going to do, excuse my poor masking of blue tissue, but yeah, I was flattening this back because I wanted to paint this black again, just to make it look a bit cleaner. Because initially I just sort of cleaned it up with a rag, but then I started seeing a few scuffs and stuff, and I thought, do you know what, I'll paint it. But as I started sanding it back, I realised it was aluminium. And I mean, I haven't smoothed this over or polished it yet, but I actually really like that aluminium look. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll probably, well, I'm going to anyway, I'm going to take off all the black paint, give it a polish, and if I like it, I'm just going to give it a light coat of lacquer. But yeah, I quite like the bare aluminium look, I must admit. Don't know what you guys think. Okay, you see here, bit of a different air filter. This clears a lot more. This one is actually a 45 degree. What I didn't realise is the other one I had was actually a 30 degree, and this is why it was very close to the rear shock. So, going to try this one first. But yeah, that's that. What I'm also doing is installing one of the throttle cables. So this is the longer of the two. I've just slid this bit on here. This is what sits in there. You then need to put on the spring, and then this little bit here is what sits down in here. So the cable just hooks in like that, and that will slide down. But yeah, first of all, we need to fit the spring. So it should look something like that. So now I've just got to get this down in there and secure it. Easy as that. So now, because I'll probably attach the bracket onto here like Benny has, I'm going to go underneath though, because the rack for that has to attach to the top of here. So I'm going to see if I can attach it underneath, and then try and find somewhere to maybe keep this neat, which shouldn't be a problem, and it will sit, give or take, around there. And then what we can do is just lift the seat up. You'll be able to access this bit, which is the lever to switch the choke on or off, and in essence that should sit around about there and give us plenty of clearance. So that's what I'm going to have a go at doing now. So there you go, just pull the cable and slot it in there. This does need to be in the open position, and then you can slide this on. That'll retain it lovely. That's in the off position. So yeah, we'll have to figure out the bracket, and then we can have that mounted around about there. So there it is, slightly mocked up. Just hold it with a little cable tie, just hold it in. It's not tight. This is just a bolt, which I've gone up through the captive nut. So then when I put the rack on, it can sit flush to this locking mechanism, and then I can just finish it off with a nut. Now hopefully that won't foul the underside of the seat. I'll have to test fit the seat and try. It's not a problem though, because I could easily just get a shorter bolt. So I think this will work. I'm yet to tighten this bit up, but it's easily accessible, and this is using Benny's idea. So the seat will sort of cover this bit, lift it up, flick the choke on, start the bike, flick it off, seat down, off you go. Is the mirror refitted? I decided to keep the aluminium look. I've just given it a light coat of clear lacquer. Just gives it a bit more to look at instead of it all being black. So yeah, really happy with this. It's come out really nice. Nice little detail to the bike, having a Napoleon mirror. But the front end is built. We are so very, very close. The die for the seat, which is just here, should be here tomorrow, which means I can get on and get that dyed in a green, and I really hope it's similar to this. I think it's going to be a little bit darker, but I don't actually mind that. And then, as previously mentioned, we need to get this wing and the lower cowl. Test fit these to the wings. Drill the holes around about here. I've got some M5 anodized bolts on order. And then we can get this painted and that painted, bolted on, and we'll have a completed scooter. And to see the results of how this scooter looks in its completed form, you'll have to watch the next video. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to catch you in the next one.